Dell employees push back on return to office demands, and a frozen M4 iPad tops the benchmarks. This is MacVoices. Today's edition of MacVoices is supported by ExpressVPN, the VPN that just works. Visit expressvpn.com/MacVoices, and you can get an extra 3 months free on a 1-year package. We're starting to close in on time, so I'm going to edit a few things here, but I feel like just for the sake of updating the scorecard, we have to mention that now Spotify has a basic plan that is going back to $11 a month by cutting the audiobooks that apparently nobody wanted in the first place. And so they figured that out and now are not offering it anymore. Spotify just feels like a moving target.
Yeah.
No. So, Mark, I believe you're the one that brought this one in. The Ars Technica article that Dell said return to the office or else, and nearly half of the workers chose or else.
Yeah, I saw that last week. It struck me. We've talked about it on this show of what the long-term effects of the COVID pandemic will be, and I saw this, and it seems that we know Apple is trying to wrestle to get people back in. Google's having that problem. Apparently, Dell is having that problem. And I think that it's interesting that as many as 50% basically said, okay, well, because Dell, I guess the letter summoned them back, and they held out there. Well, you could be denied, advancement, being a manager or this, that, or the other thing. And I guess a lot of people decided, well, that really doesn't sound all that scary. And for whatever reason, if it's employees in Austin, I can imagine their traffic is as hellacious as the Bay Area, that a lot of them decided, okay, well, I'll just stay home. I'd rather enjoy that lifestyle. And if not, I can get another job. And, I know people in the Bay Area who actually are having multiple jobs, and they're doing it by working at home. And at most, they might go to one job 1 day a week. And so I'm not making aspersions on the Dell employees, but it could be a lot of them are just amenable to all sorts of other options. And I was surprised that it was as high as 50%. I would figure it would have been, sort of 25 or 30% would be hardcore. So that was what was really the most interesting to me, is that this, I think, is a market societal shift, and it's not going away.
I can say that I know a company here locally that tried that same thing, and they tried it a little earlier in the whole question about returning to work, and they lost, around 50% of the company because A, people didn't want to do it, B, they were still a little bit scared, and C, there were other organizations out there that were offering remote work, and so they jumped ship. Mm-hmm. So there was this incredible brain drain. So it's,
So the other thought I had on it, and this is just conspiracy speculation. This might be better for an after dark topic, but I was thinking maybe they got inspired by, for better or worse, what Musk did. He fired 75 or 80% of the Twitter employees without, the service didn't go down and crashing and burning. And then in, 22, Zuckerberg, said, we have too many people, and fired, 12 or 14,000 people. And then the company they were surprised it became a lot more agile and profits went up. So I'm just wondering if these are thoughts in the back of the executive staff at Dell, that if it is, it's sort of a random way or an uncontrolled way to get, because probably the best people you want to keep are the ones who say, well, take this job and you do what with it. And they're the ones who are going to be first to leave. So this is probably not the best way to trim your ranks, but it certainly saves you the public embarrassment of having a huge layoff or reduction in force.
Webb?
You and I were talking about this over the weekend, and I did some research today. I did my return to the office a year ago. It was June the 5th of 2023. And I have 400 employees in my office. I I require all officers to be in 5 days a week. So if you're a VP or above, you're expected to be in. But you know what? They were in anyway, to be honest with you. The below that, we did go to a hybrid, a 3-2, 3 days in, 2 days off, or not off, but 2 days remote. And did I lose anyone? Yeah, but it wasn't dramatic. 10, 15. So that was 30, 40. Yeah, maybe a little bit more than that. But you know what? It wasn't detrimental. I was able to refill most of those positions. Some of them were technical positions, programmers and the like, systems people, and didn't have any issues refilling those positions too. Now, it helped me an awful lot that there was another major employer here in Kansas City that decided to move out of Kansas City and go to where did they go? I think went to Texas and went to the Triangle in North Carolina. A little company called Cerner that was purchased by Oracle. Oracle came in, and Cerner was alert. They do medical software, electronic health records, things like that. Anyway, so I had a glut of technical people that wanted to stay employed. So I did have that going for me that benefited a lot. So, but losing 50%, I'm sure it could happen. If you lost 50%, there are bigger issues that you had as an employer besides just remote work. Everybody knew that was working remote that it wasn't going to last forever. They also knew that there was going to be some modification to the old days too. Anyway, like I said, I lost about 30 people
left either.
Excuse me.
Sorry, Jim.
The original article that was mentioned did not say half left the company. They just said we're going to forego promotion. So they didn't all quit. So it's not directly comparable.
True.
I interpreted that as if you insisted on being remote, you weren't going to be eligible for promotion. That's how I interpreted that. Yeah.
Right. That's what the article I read. So it doesn't mean half of them are no longer employed by Dell. It just meant they're I'm going to continue to be employed until I do quit later, or whatever. So
Jim,
presumably the number is not directly comparable with Webb's 10-15%.
Yeah, that's a fair point, because I can think of a number of scenarios where somebody says, okay, maybe it's childcare, maybe it's senior care, maybe it's looking at retirement, where they say, okay, for the next X number of weeks, months, potentially years, I'm going to forego the possibility of promotion because this benefit of working at home is worth it to me. Now, we don't have all the details about, okay, if you decided to work from home for a year and then, you know what, I really miss the idea of being potentially promoted, so I'm going to start going back, how Dell would respond to that. So yeah, there's some fuzz here. There's no question about it. So,
Webb, did you see any business benefit, after 6-9 months later, boosted productivity or anything else measurable that
I've had this feeling that one of the things that we missed out on was mentorship and trying to develop management for tomorrow. And I've put together a program to help develop that. And that because of that, I've seen a lot of productivity enhancements going on there. The biggest productivity enhancement that I had in my business was interest rates going up. I've mentioned before on here, we're a margin business, and it's between what we invest in and what we get returns on it. And so interest rates is really what's helped my business more than some of those other type elements as far as productivity goes. I'm making more money.
Webb?
Dave?
I
Yes,
just
Jeff.
want to compliment Webb real quick. Webb, the fact that you're doing a mentorship program is fantastic. I loved hearing that. There's so many companies that don't get that you need to plan for the future.
Right.
And the best way to do that is to find your people that you can give that extra boost to. So high five to you.
I know we don't want to dwell on this, and just a quick comment. I had a mentor when I came into the business, and he meant the world to me, and I realized the importance of that. And I've forced my children who work for me to find their own mentor. The rule is, I can't find it for you. You got to find your own and get there. But you have to find one, and you may not find one the first time out. So yeah, I'm a big advocate of mentorship. So for management development.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I agree, Jeff, completely. Dave?
Yeah, I can wrap this up here. I'm not a manager, but I see that all the time with where I work, and I think most of the employees have pretty much have been flexible of what they've been able to do. Some are coming in the 5 days a week. Some, it's use your discretion type of deal. So I'm there 5 days a week most times. So because I've got to make sure I'm taking care of business, and business is technology. We got to make sure things are working. But some roles have become where they can only have to work in the office 2 days a week. So I think the company has done a pretty good job of keeping as being flexible, but also saying we need you to be in the office. It's remote meetings aren't productive a lot of times. You don't want to you want to be able to be in person and have a good experience working through whatever business is being discussed. So, but I at first I was kind of skeptical about it, and starting to see some people that were going to look elsewhere only because of there are companies out there. Oh yeah, you can work 100% remote. Well, I guess it depends on the role. It depends on what what you're doing in order to be able to do that. There's times I could work from home, and there are things that can be done that doesn't require on site. But there are also times I have to be there to make sure something's working. Someone's in the office and I'm not there. That's could be a problem.
Dave, you and I've had this discussion. I think Webb and I have too. It depends, on the position. It also, I think it's incumbent upon the employee to respect what the what the employer wants, and also, what the demands of the position are. Because there's no question. There's some employees that take advantage of it. And they take gross advantage of it.
Yeah.
And then there are others that, are absolutely doing it exactly the way it should be done. And those are the ones I think that learned it during the pandemic and just continued on. So there's no right or wrong answer here as far as I'm concerned. It's everybody, trying to figure out what the best thing is for them and for the employer.
Honestly, I think it's a bit of a moot point at this juncture. It was a big topic, obviously, post-pandemic, as we were getting out, going back, return to work. There was high visibility and discussion about this. But as time has gone by, I'm seeing it's not much of a discussion anymore, honestly. So I think it's something that it's changing, it's evolving. Again, there are roles that could definitely be that way, but then we talked about it earlier. Big companies, Apple's trying to get people to come back to work. Google is. All these big corporations want people back at the office. They're paying all this money for this space, but some are coming back, and others, maybe they'll find something else that's more suitable for them.
But see, that in my mind is the worst reason to demand that somebody come back. Is we're paying all the money. We're paying all the money for this space. Okay, yeah, that's the way it was, and if you're in a lease, you're kind of stuck with it. But in the world today, with the lessons we did learn from the pandemic, what is the best for all parties? Right. If we heard a lot about wellness and a lot about mental health during the pandemic, and some of that message has kind of disappeared as we've gone on. And again, it depends on your employer and how that's being handled. But This deserves a longer discussion if we were going to get into it, but there are a lot of factors. Let's say that.
Yep.
This edition of MacVoices is supported by ExpressVPN, the VPN that just works. Yeah, I know. Everyone is constantly telling you about securing your data, ensuring your privacy, and watching who is watching you. It is an unfortunate truth of life in the connected 21st century. You do need to protect yourself from data aggregators and brokers who want to make money off of you, without your consent, and usually without your even knowing about it. One of my solutions to this problem is ExpressVPN. It takes literally seconds to set up, and then forget it. My data traffic is encrypted, and that cuts way down on what anyone who is trying to find out about what I'm doing and what I'm watching can. No one needs to know that unless you want them to, and I can't imagine why you would want them to. If there's a reason, let me know. Otherwise, do what I do on my Mac, iPhone, and iPad, and use ExpressVPN at home, on the road, or wherever you want privacy. And really, isn't that everywhere? Protect your online privacy today by visiting expressvpn.com/MacVoices. That's ExpressVPN, ExpressVPN.com/MacVoices. And you can get an extra 3 months free. ExpressVPN.com/MacVoices. Thanks to ExpressVPN for supporting MacVoices. Last story of the evening. Someone took an M4 iPad Pro and stuck it in the freezer for 10 minutes and broke the Geekbench 6 iOS world record. This was reported by iMore. And so I called up the editors at iMore and said, who would do something like this? And they said his name was Webb Bixby.
Good one, Chuck.
I can guarantee you that is not true.
Yeah. You have,
I took mine into a sauna and it ran like a Chromebook. It was really quite amazing. Why? My first thought when seeing that was like, why would anybody do that other than some weird proof of concept? And the fact that they got an article on iMore about it,
Yeah. Webb, I thought of you right away when I saw this. I thought, could we convince you to put your iPad Pro in the freezer for a little while and see what happens?
I'm in the insurance business, so you gotta pay up. So you got to protect me from any losses I might have. So,
I'm sure we could take up a collection.
Webb, Chuck told me he's more than happy to cover all costs himself.
Chuck who?
Yeah.
Webb, seriously though, how have you found the M4 iPad experience?
It's been fine. What I did last night was I had the stack of old iPads. I had first, second, third, and fourth generation Pros, iPad Pros. And I was sitting there searching the internet for all the different vendors that buy those. And I was using the iPad to do it, the new iPad, to figure out how much my old iPads are worth. So it's fine. It works very well. It's a lot faster. One of the things that I did notice, which I thought was kind of interesting, was that when I was doing not the initial setup, but I was out of town for a couple of days. When I came back, I turned it on. There were some apps that needed to be updated, and serious apps. Outlook was one that needed to be updated, and some of those other Microsoft Office type things, and they updated a lot quicker than they did on the previous computers. That's worth it to me right there. So
yeah, funny how that works.
Yeah.
Oh,
and yes, I did get the nano texture, Marty, and the new pencil.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else having? I'm sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I've had some good experience with it so far. I've noticed a drastic improvement in performance compared to I had the M1 and it was about the 11-inch, and as Eric is hugging his iPad tightly, but It is. I did notice some really good improvements in performance, and the web's right. The apps seem to be installing a little faster and seem to work real well. And I'm not putting a beta on that. So,
Eric, is that an M4?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I would call that a caress, not a hug. You were kind of caressing it.
Yeah,
That was definitely a caress.
Be careful, Eric. They're thinner, you know.
Oh, here you go.
Okay, all together now.
Was this the treatment that Marty was getting from his ex-girlfriend for his feet? I mean, what is it?
He's doing the baby bath. There you go.
Okay, well, now the show is officially off the rails, so it's time to pull the plug.
Time to pull it.
Oh, man. Guys, thank you. This has been, we got through all the topics I never dreamed we would, and it was a great discussion on every single one, so thank you so much. I'm going to flip the order, and as we get out of here and let folks know where they can find you. Mark, thank you so much for your insight and for your martial arts pictures. Where can folks connect with you?
At Zitter, Mark Fuccio, MarkFuccio.
Great. Thank you so much, Mark. Eric Bolden, thank you for being here. I'm always anxious to see what you come up with next week. So maybe it'll be something, maybe this one will have popped. Who knows? Where can folks find you?
I can be found most of the time on Mastodon at EA Bolden, at techhub.social, or mas.to.
Great. Thanks so much, Eric. Mr. Gamet, thank you for being here. Are you studying your A lady or your S lady? Where can folks find you?
Well, first, thank you for being so incredibly tolerant. You, sir, are a saint. Okay, so you can find me on social media, Gamet, on pretty much all of them. And I'm posting mostly on Mastodon, Instagram, and some on Threads right now. Then for shows, here with you on Tuesday, so thank you for that. Then Dave lets me join in on In Touch with iOS on Thursdays. Dave, thank you for that. Then on the British Tech Network, Thursdays on The Big Show, Fridays on The Mac Show. Brian Chaffin and I do The Context Machine, and now Patrice Brendamore and I do Retro Rewatch, where we are watching and discussing TV episodes that I have not seen that I should have.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you, Jeff. Well, Bixby, thank you so much for being here. What's the best way for folks to connect with you?
Well, now let's see. Who do we want to go with today? We'll stick with Mastodon. It's webbixby at twit.social.
Okay, that sounds good. That sounds good. Still hanging out there on X.
Yeah, all over. So,
yeah. Thanks, Webb. Jim Ray, I don't know what to say about the fish, except that I'm glad Webb identified them. So maybe next week you can bring a different background. We can get Webb to identify those animals.
It's a test.
And I just want to say, Jeff, listening to all the places you can be contacted, I'm exhausted.
Me too.
So are you going to exhaust us, Jim?
Just two places this week. Artisanal Software Festival again.com. That has officially started, and it's off to a good start. And also Mastodon, ProView Jim, ProVueJim at techhub.social.
And I'll throw in a plug for the Artisanal Software. You should at least go and look, because it's a great set of great collection of software for some great authors. A lot of them are pieces that you would already recognize, and they're selling them at great prices, including Jim's. So check it out.
Mine's Panorama, by the way.
Panorama, yes.
I
sorry,
say that.
Should have said that. Yes,
I should have said that.
Well, we should have both said it. Marty Jencius, we're going to talk about your love life in After Dark, but until then, where can folks find you?
I'm married, so we can't talk about my love life in After Dark. You can find me at Jencius, Jencius, at mastodon.social. Also with Eric Bolden on Vision Profiles podcast, Tech Savvy Professor podcast, and also Circular Firing Squad. I'm here on Tuesdays and grateful to be here on Tuesdays, and now on Thursdays with In Touch with iOS with Dave and Jeff and Ben. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Great. Thanks so much, Marty. Brian Flanigan-Arthurs, thank you so much for your insight tonight. Some really good thoughts, and I really do applaud you for the way that you are trying to handle your students and teach them responsibility as well as the official curriculum. Where can folks find you?
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Best place to find me, Brian8944 at mastodon.cloud.
Great. Thanks, Brian.
Appreciate it.
Last but absolutely not least, we started with him. We're going to end with him, Mr. David Ginsburg. David, thank you for being here. I know where I can find you. Where can they find you?
Thank you, Chuck, for having me. As always, you could find me at In Touch with iOS and intouchwithios.com. YouTube channel is youtube.com/intouchwithios. I am on the Mac Show, usually on Fridays with Jeff and Chuck, as well as Cast a Cave of others, as well as you can find me on Mastodon at DaveG65 and mastodon.cloud. Thank you, Chuck.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. I also want, first of all, I definitely want to thank the chat room. They were contributing tonight. They were commenting on the things we were saying and throwing in some wisdom of their own. So thanks very much, folks. I also want to make note, and I have been delinquent in this, that let's see, I'm going to go around the room. Dave, Brian, Marty, Webb, Jeff, Eric, Will, and I will all be at MacStock in Crystal Lake, Illinois in a couple weeks. We'd love to have you join us. So go to macstockconferenceandexpo.com and you can get $30 off either the 2-day package or the 3-day package by using my code MacVoices. But even if you don't use the code, just go and register and join us, because we're going to have a great weekend. A lot of other folks that you already know are going to be there, and it's going to be a weekend of not just fellowship, but also a lot of great presentations. That's why we're doing the Road to MacStock series here on MacVoices. If you haven't checked it out, please do, because each speaker is talking about what they will be presenting. We're not letting them do the presentations, but it'll give you a flavor for some of the things you will learn if you come. So please join us. With that, this is MacVoices Live. We do this Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, whatever time that is, wherever you are. Join us right here on YouTube at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. And of course, you can always catch the edited versions in the feed as we edit them and get them out. As always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.